You see the physique, you buy the powder, and you think you're on the road to the stage. But are you buying muscle or a scam? The fitness industry is a $74 billion machine built on pixie dusting, fake claims, and PED using influencers. I'm breaking it down to the three most popular supplements that are literally flushing your money down the drain. Even worse, some natural labels are hiding banned substances that could end your competitive career before you even hit your first pose. I've got the data, I got the research links, and I got the want to safe list you actually need. Stop being a customer and start being a competitor. In a world of enhanced physiques and social media smoke and mirrors, where do you find the truth? Welcome to the OCB Natural Edge Podcast, the official voice of the world's largest drug-free bodybuilding federation. From the science of the shred to the grit of the stage, no secrets, no substances, just the edge. Let's start with the biggest aspect of the problem, and that is humans automatically want to trust the six-pack over scientific study. This has a lot to do with human evolution and where leaders were picked as we were small tribes and evolving. You always lean towards the physical prowess. Also, mates were chosen on heights and other the same characteristics. This ingrains something in us that we automatically want to believe and trust in something that looks physically superior. This is why various occupations such as car dealers, police officers, even politicians were chosen based on their physical characteristics and their height, etc., as opposed to sound judgments. It's hard to fight your inner wiring. It goes back millions of years and it's still there. Now, here's the reality. The fake natty economy uses that as a weapon to exploit you. Most influencers aren't selling you their routine. They're selling you a lifestyle funded by the supplements that they don't actually use, meaning PEDs. And those marketing the scam products know this and select only the most jacked men and women to pose as users of their magic pills and their pixie dust formulas. And this is a lucrative pairing for both the influencer and those behind the magic formula. In a most recent report, the annual spending on scam supplements in 2026 was in the billions of dollars. In fact, 2026, the U.S. dietary supplement market is valued at approximately $74 billion. Now, not all of that is scams. And the FTC and the FDA have noted that weight loss, sexual enhancement, and particularly muscle building categories are the most abused. This is where the fraud is the highest, and it accounts, as I said, for billions and billions in customer spending annually. This is fueled by the influencer army. There are over 50,000 fitness influencers on Instagram alone. A significant percentage of the mega influencers, those with 1 million followers plus, rely on brand deals in the form of supplement companies that prioritize marketing hype over any peer-reviewed data. Most influencers don't even use the products that they're pushing. And worse, they're aware of the lies that they're peddling to a trusting audience. Money is a harsh motivator. And with $74 billion on the table, both the influencers and the supplement companies, well, they're trying to pull one over on you. How are they getting away with this? Well, people always ask me, what's the FDA doing about it? Here's the problem. The FDA is legally prohibited from approving supplements because the law classifies them as food and not as a drug. The FDA doesn't approve your pre-workout for the same reason they don't approve a bag of spinach or a spear of broccoli. The law sees them both as food. But while a bad bag of spinach just going to give you an upset stomach, a spike supplement can end your natural bodybuilding career. Scam supplements can drain your wallet, your bank accounts rapidly. Now, the law puts the burden of proof on the government to find the poison rather than the company to prove the cure. Now, this can take years. So companies, well, they push their voodoo in a can until they feel the heat, and then they just reinvent themselves over and over again by formulating a new company, shuffling around some of the ingredients, finding a few new ingredients, coming up with a bunch of new influencers to push them, and then continuing the marketing scam at your expense. And it's not just the scam ingredients that are being used to fool the customer. Pixie dusting, also known as the microdose, is a practice that uses minute amounts of proven ingredients mixed in with some unproven ingredients and then concealing the exact amounts. You, the customer, can be able to identify this when you see something that's called proprietary blending. Companies will list a whole group of ingredients with an amount such as 9 grams of, and there'll be 10 things there. They won't break down and let you know how much of each ingredient is in there. So let's say it's a creatine supplement because most of us are familiar with creatine. We all know that you need between 3 and 5 grams of creatine to have an effective dose. They could list creatine on a product that has a bunch of other gobbledygook in it and have creatine unlisted by itself inside this formula and have less than a tenth of a gram in there. Ineffectual, would have no effect on the human body whatsoever. As a matter of fact, your body wouldn't even know that you had it. This creates the psychological effect that you're actually getting a worthwhile supplement in a minute dose. So therefore, that product that you're spending 60, 70, 80, $90 on may only have $2 or $3 of real active ingredients in it, along with the fillers. The cost of manufacturing from an overseas laboratory could be as low as $5. Consider that markup the next time you're looking at your latest fitness idol on Instagram's greatest supplement in the world that gave them their 22-inch arms or brought that bikini competitor down to 0% body fat to win whatever title that they won. Look at the ingredients, see what's in there, and look for such things as microdosing. However, there's one area where real harm is being created for natural athletes. While the practice of microdosing and putting in useless ingredients does scam a gullible public and defrauds billions of dollars along the way, it isn't detrimental to your career. What is spiking. Manufacturers sometimes spike their products with cheap, unlisted PEDs to ensure that the customer feels the results, leading to repeat buys. They might not do this through the longevity of the product, and they might not do this with every single batch that's created, but they'll microdose in batches. They'll turn around and get the feedback. They'll get the hype. Real customers, such as yourself, think that you're taking this magic formula and you're getting these great results, and you're going to report on it on social media. The influencers will then tag you and keep you on the bottom line. They'll keep traffic coming to your comments to validate the premise that their magic formula is really that good. In reality, it has a banned substance. In the supplement world, this is called alteration. We call it spiking. And according to recent data from WADA, reports from 2024 and 2025, it is estimated that 20% of the dietary supplements, specifically in the muscle building and weight loss categories, contain undeclared banned substances. Some common hidden culprits include SARMs, which to my knowledge are banned by all natural bodybuilding federations, prohormones that are sometimes added intentionally, but often are cross contaminated in facilities that manufacture both legal and hardcore supplements. One thing that you have to understand is that a lot of these manufacturers are going to go to the lowest bidder to manufacture their products. This means that they're turning to countries like China, the Philippines, Vietnam, etc. Labor cost and the cost of manufacture is much cheaper there. Also, the standards needed are not as high, meaning that an assembly line could be pumping out pro hormones for product number one, crossover, there's no cleanup involved whatsoever. And along that same track and in those same containers and that same processing, you're going to have contaminants from pro hormones that can show up in your supplement. Clenbuterol and T3 are sometimes found in your all natural fat burners. Now, some of you might think I'll just read the label and be fine. But in 2025, a professional athlete tested positive for a prohibited stimulant after taking a pre workout called Yeti juice. She was honest, she listed it on her forms, but the WADA accredited lab tested the bottle and found DMBA, a substance that was not listed on the ingredient deck. That athlete was therefore responsible for what that they took into their body. Now, in OCB, if something happens to you and you have a tainted supplement and you bring it to our attention, we can have it analyzed at your expense. Once it comes back to validate and show that that substance is in there, you will be exonerated. But it's an expensive proposition. In my opinion, the most important thing you can do as a competitor is not just to stick with the tried and true formulas, but also the established brands that have been on the market for a long time. Now, sometimes these can be accidental. This is a multi-billion dollar industry where accidental contamination happens all the time. According to WADA, the same factories that mix SARMs and pro hormones are also making creatine and protein products, and cross contamination is running wild. Now, for an OCB athlete, a dirty pre workout isn't just a waste of $50, it can be a 4-year ban and end your career. So make sure you're utilizing only the products that you trust from the sources that you can trust. Now, let's talk about three of the most scam supplement ingredients that are out there. Let's start with natural testosterone boosters that contain tribulus or DAA. Now, tribulus has been around for a very long time. I got scammed on tribulus back in the early 90s when it was making a emergence in the sport. I used large doses of tribulus and got zero effect whatsoever. DAA is also another supplement that is making a mark in your natural testosterone boosters. But when you do a deep dive, there is zero significant effect on muscle mass or power in healthy men from countless studies that did deep dive research in all of these. Turkesterone. This is being marketed as a natural steroid. And while some animal studies have shown some promise, human trials are weak and non existent, especially for the doses that is being sold at in shops. So, with turkesterone, you do have some valid scientific research, which is great if you are a rat. However, human biology and rat biology is a little bit different. The other thing, like I said, is the dosing. The dosage and the method of dosing utilized in those studies was mostly intravenous, injectable, with doses far greater than any human could tolerate intestinally. There's a very fine line between what you take in and making it through the lining of the stomach. So, although the effects of testosterone might show some promise in some animal studies, zero valid science for humans, especially at the doses being sold. I would avoid it. One of my favorites and something that I got ripped off on in the 80s, deer antler velvet. This thing keeps making a comeback every so many years. And I get asked by people all the time, oh, can I take my deer antler velvet? It contains IGF. All right. Yeah, I see influencers call it nature's growth hormone. And here's the truth. While it does contain IGF-1, your stomach acid destroys it before it even hits your bloodstream. You are literally spending $50 for a bottle of an expensive animal protein that has zero anabolic effects. But here's the kicker. WADA accredited labs have found that these sprays to be frequently contaminated with synthetic hormones. You're risking a lifetime ban for a product that has the same muscle building power as a glass of chocolate milk. It's a legacy scam. When I fell for it in the 80s, it was supposed to be touted as the greatest thing since sliced bread, and it was outrageously expensive then. I'm looking around now at some of the scam products that are being sold with this ingredient, and they're even more expensive. I I just can't warn you enough. Stay away from the deer antler. Now, let's talk about some supplements that actually work and have valid accredited research behind them. Creatine monohydrate. Now, let's talk creatine for a second. There is a big scam industry behind creatine. Creatine monohydrate is a valid supplement that has been shown repeatedly to work in human trials. Over 30 years of research validates that. However, in most research studies, it's just plain creatine monohydrate, 3 to 5 grams mixed in either a warm beverage like coffee or a glass of water. No other supplements have been added in there. No other formula to make it work better. It's not needed. I can go out and buy a 3-month dose of creatine monohydrate for about $25. Or I could look at the latest scam supplement that does contain creatine monohydrate and spend upwards of $40 because it has everything but the kitchen sink in it and it's not necessary. Another is caffeine. Now, caffeine in excess does create a lot of health issues. However, caffeine is a stimulant. It can be used to pump you up for a workout, and it is a potent fat burner. Branch chain amino acids. We hear about these all the time. And I see a lot of people claiming that mega dosing branched chain amino acids is a fix for this and it has an anabolic effect. Let's temper our expectations. Branched chain amino acids can aid in recovery greatly, but it's only aiding in recovery. They're proven to work, but even megadosing isn't going to give you an anabolic effect. And finally, fish oils. Fish oils have been at the top of my supplement pyramid for darn near 35 or 40 years. There are a wealth of benefits. And if you're not currently taking fish oils, I strongly suggest you do a little research and do some Google foo on your fish oils. Now, here is this one caveat on fish oils. Not all fish is created equal. Not all fish oils are created equal. You can buy fish oils for 99 cents for 100 on Amazon. You're going to end up with fish burps, diarrhea, and have very little of the positive fatty acids contained in the fish oils. This is because some plants just crush together all the gills and scales and all that other crap, create an oil, and there you go. Other companies will spend a lot of time getting only the best fish oils into the capsules. So steer yourself away from the cheaper brands and look for valid brands. Now, I'm going to give you a research toolkit. Here is how you find the lies through the truth. These are the websites that you can turn to get real, valid information. Examine.com. It's the gold standard. They don't sell supplements, they just aggregate scientific studies. Another one is the NIH Office of Dietary Supplements. It's a government backed fact sheet on what actually works. My favorite, and I've been talking about this for 30 years, is PubMed.com. It's truly dedicated to the people who want to do deep dives because I'm going to tell you, it is a peer-reviewed journal of papers. This means you're not just going to find a little abstract that gives you your bottom line. But if you're into the science of things and you don't mind long reads and you can stay awake for an hour to get to the bottom line of a study, I would suggest PubMed. Another place that you can go to is the USP verified laboratories, or look for a USP verified mark on your supplements. What the USP does is they examine supplements, they break them down, they validate the ingredients that are in there, they ensure that there's no fillers, no binders, no bad chemicals in there. If it's got a USP seal, then it'll be safe for human consumption and competition. So stop spending money on voodoo, magic pills, and pseudoscience, and embark on your quest of physical perfection through discipline, consistency, hard work, and science-based research. If you've ever experienced the supplement scam, then please share your story below in the comments. I think we would all like to hear what you have to say. And if you've enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe. Now, in closing, I want to talk about behavior. The behaviors of the people you follow and the behaviors that project you. You see, behavior never lies. Ever have somebody treat you poorly before they needed you for something? Ever have a colleague at work who was in a supervisory role at the beginning of your working there, but then the roles flipped? When they were the supervisor, they treated you like crap. And then when the roles reversed, they wanted to be your best employee and your strongest asset. How about how a star treats a bellhop versus the director? We hear stories about this all the time. Beware of people who hide behind titles, either a sports title or in a profession. They feel titles demand respect, and people don't respect titles. They respect other people. So if you have a title, don't flaunt it or use it over people. If you have a title at work, don't hide behind your title. Now, be proud of your accomplishments and the titles that you hold, but don't let the pride who you are. When you win or advance, don't step over your peers. Lift them up with you. Pay attention to people who don't clap when you win in life. And be sure to always show joy and gratitude when others succeed, even if you have to fake it at first. Those who don't clap are building resentments, and they'll view you as an obstacle that they need to overcome in the future. And if you don't have it in you to clap for others, then those same resentments and jealousies are going to build within you and become toxic on your inner self. Build the type of behavior and trust to become somebody who is trusted. Where does trust come from? When ability, integrity, and benevolence come together, an environment of trust is built. How you decide to act is who you will ultimately become. Remember, the greatest legacies in life aren't left from your titles or the things you've done on stage or who you were as a boss. The greatest legacies in life are left by the intercommunications that you have with people and the people that believed in you along the way. Titles are quickly forgotten. Everybody rises to the top and then eventually comes crashing down or moves on to something else. I don't remember a single person back in my younger days who ever won a bodybuilding show or who was ever a boss or a leadership unless they were very toxic and left a bad mark on me. The ones I remember the most and hold the most dear are the ones that behaved with an aura of respect towards others and were believable. Be the person you wanted to emulate when you were coming up. And if you're a leader, be the leader you always wanted to follow. Until next time, stay humble, stay hungry, and stay natural. Sully out.